I'm Miss Summers. Welcome to Chamberlayne Elementary, my 3rd grade classroom, and we are working on reading this morning. We hope you enjoy. All right, friends, make sure you have everything together. If you do not have a book, I will get one for you. Just give me a moment. All right, what book are we working with this unit? What is our booklet called? Comparing different points of views. I want you to go ahead and turn and talk to your teammates about what story we started reading last week. Whose point of view was it told from? And what type of story was it? Thank you, Quentin. CJ? Too much. I don't think CJ has his either. All right, CJ, you got to get to your chair now. We'll look at it later. It'll still be there. Come on. All right, who wants to give the whole class a quick refresher because it has been a few days? Melina? Cinderella. And what type of text was it, Miles? But what type, like, was it a book? Was it a biography? What type of text was it, Josiah? Lennox? A what? Cinderella is a fairy tale, but what type of story did they write in our text? Angel?
A biography, something like that.
Not a biography, Joanna. What was the entry called?
Comparing points of view.
That's what the whole book is called. But we're looking, and you didn't read it with us last week. So, yes, Janet? They made it look like Cinderella was writing in her diary. So whose point of view was it told from? Cinderella's own point of view. Does everybody remember that? And she wrote about having the what? Worst day ever. Okay? So we're going to be talking about the point of view from the characters. The character that we're talking about is Cinderella and her point of view, and distinguishing that point of view from a different point of view. Okay? So, everybody say this word, please. Blanketed. Does anybody remember what that word means from what we talked about last week? And I know that feels like forever ago. The snow blanketed the ground. What does it mean to blanket something? Cover. Good job. Nice. What is this word here? Blotches. Does anybody remember what blotches are, Quentin?
Blotches are like little spots of paint.
Spots on your body. Typically a what kind of reaction? Allergic. When you have allergies. What about this word? Meanwhile. Let me go with CJ because you already answered. CJ?
It means like it was telling about something and now it's telling about another thing. So it's happening at the same time. It's talking about it.
That's so good. Two things happening at the same time, but while one person is doing this, meanwhile, this is also happening. That was such a great explanation. Yes. Nice. Porridge. Do you guys remember what that word means? Nyla?
It's a type of like food, kind of like oatmeal, but not really.
Okay. It's kind of that gruely mix. Yes, the porridge, okay? Definitely a breakfast food. A rash you get when you have blotches. And shrieked means what? What kind of scream? Like? Ooh, that's a spicy word. Shrill. Thank you for giving us an example. That high-pitched shrill, okay? How do you think Cinderella feels? Turn and talk to your neighbor. Cinderella feels what? Because she what? And what do you think about the stepsisters? Go ahead and turn and talk to your neighbors based on what we read last time. If you didn't read last time, just listen to your team talk.
All right. Because she has blotches.
9, 5,
Cinderella feels upset about.
You should be on zero.
She felt angry.
In literature, points of view refer to the way the narrator, who's the narrator? Do you guys remember? The person what? Not reading the story, telling the story. Good job. And the characters and their events and how they view the events in the story. Okay, so who's the narrator in this text? Cinderella. Who are some of the other characters?
The stepsisters.
Stepsisters and the stepmother. Do you think that the stepsisters and the stepmom see the story the same way Cinderella does? No. Okay? And why don't they? Because they're different what? People. Right. Okay? So as we read, we develop our own points of view as well about these story elements. Sometimes our points of view stay the same as the narrator, and sometimes they are different from the narrator. Sometimes we empathize with the other characters in the story. Sometimes we empathize with the narrator as a reader, right? So when we're talking about the points of view in Cinderella's Very Bad Day, we're going to compare it to our own points of view about the story today. So we're going to look at this first chapter. You ready? We're going to be looking at that first paragraph. June 20th, 1549, late morning. This has been the worst morning ever. My stepsisters have been meaner than a mule today. I woke when the rooster crowed and lit a fire in the downstairs hearth, as usual. Soot and ashes from the fire covered me, as usual. Next, I ran to add kindling to the fires in their rooms. I would not have heard the end of it if my stepsister's large, ugly feet touched a cold floor. There was no kindling in either room, so I had to run to the backyard to gather up twigs and sticks. Thorns cut my finger and briars stuck in my hair. What lets us know this is Cinderella's point of view?
Because she's saying my.
Ooh, my, what else?
Because she's having a very bad day.
I and my. Those are called what? They take the place of her name. She doesn't say Cinderella, Cinderella. Do you guys remember? What? Pronouns. She uses those pronouns to let the reader know she's talking about herself, and she's the one telling the story. So she is the... She is a pronoun, technically, yes. But the person telling the story, Cinderella, is the what of this story? She is a character. She is the main character. If she's the one telling the story, though, she is the what? Narrator. Good job. She describes how hard she works and how she gets hurt. And we can tell she feels what about her situation? Mad, sad, annoyed, disappointed, maybe even stressed out, maybe a little frustrated. What did you say, Janet? Hurt, right? Like, oh, they do this to me. They hurt me, right? Yes, Josiah. Ooh, I wonder if that's a thought she has. I might have that thought if somebody just wanted me to work for them all the time, right? Yes, Lennox. Ooh, overwhelmed is a good one. I would be overwhelmed having to do all those things in the morning. Let's continue on to paragraph 3. Everybody ready? My older sister demanded soft-boiled eggs. My younger stepsister yelled for medium-boiled eggs. I flew to the kitchen to make their breakfasts. I toil around the clock. What do you think toil means based on that sentence and the rest of the context clues in the story? Miles? Talk to your teammates about it. I want to give you guys a second to really think about this. I toil around the clock. Around the clock is a phrase that means all day, okay? I toil around the clock. I'm hearing it a lot. What does everybody think it means? What kind of work, though? Like light, menial work? Hard work. She toils around the clock. So in this paragraph, she uses the words demanded and yelled to describe her stepsisters. So what kind of characters do you think her stepsisters are, the way she portrays them? Rude, disrespectful, right? When you hear people yelling and demanding things, that's what you think of, right? Ooh, they're rude. Ooh, they're mean, right? Unkind. So let's go ahead and underline these in our text. These words help us understand her point of view. I will zoom in. They demanded and they yelled, okay? So I'm going to make a note over here that means I think the stepsisters, rude, unkind, disrespectful was another good one we used to describe people who yell and demand. Do you have to write everything that I write? No, you would have to write what works for your brain, okay? As the reader, I feel like she kind of feels sorry for herself, right? Her whole diary post, she kind of feels sorry for herself. Ugh, me, I'm having a bad day. They're making me do this, right? Do you as a reader kind of feel sorry for her when you read about how she feels sorry for herself? So you agree with her point of view in this story? Yes. Okay. Now, do you think that it's fair to just agree with her without having the other side of the story? What if her stepsisters are like, last night we reminded her 15 times that we really needed this done because we're both sick and we can't get well if we don't have a fire in our hearth, right? Then do you think if they're sick and they reminded her a bunch of times that maybe they're yelling because they're frustrated, not because they're mean and disrespectful? Okay, so you see how sometimes having the other point of view can change our opinions.
But she did say they were mean.
Right, we know that that's not the case. We've all seen the movie. But if we had the other point of view, maybe we would think a little bit differently. While I am reading this, I want you to underline other words that help you understand what the stepsisters are like. And I want you to put a box around words that help you understand Cinderella's character. Does that make sense? So, like yelled and demanded, we underline those about the stepsisters. But if you see something about Cinderella, what do I want you to do with it? Put a box around it. And let's see what you guys come up with while we read. But dust blanketed everything, so I had to wash every dish again. The eggs ended up hard-boiled. I can't eat these eggs, they screamed. Porridge with berries instead. While picking strawberries, I forgot they gave me a rash. I was soon covered with the biggest red blotches. Still, I served the porridge. Too hot, cried the older stepsister. Too cold, shrieked the younger one. Neither wanted strawberries, so naturally they threw away their bowls. The strawberries landed on me. Now my blotches had blotches. Meanwhile, dear diary, my stepmother keeps screaming for me. She is louder than thunder. This is going to be the hardest day of my life. Go ahead and talk with your teammates. I'm going to give you guys about a minute and a half. See if you can uncover words that help you understand the characters that the stepsisters portray and the character that Cinderella herself portrays in this story.
Now, what do you think? I think the stepmother is very loud. Is very mean. What I underline is blanketed. I underline screamed. And I underline blotches. And I also underline blotches have blotches. And then I also underline meanwhile screaming louder than thunder. The hardest day of my life. That's also what I underline. That's a lot of people. So what's important? What? So what's important is? Yeah, because underline the stepsisters, what they did. Because Cinderella didn't scream, screeched, or cry. The stepsisters did.
Who wants to share something that they underlined about the stepsisters? Quentin, I didn't get to yours, so I want to know what you did.
Our whole table underlined that the stepsisters cried and screeched.
Okay. And were they talking about crying like, what kind of crying is that? Cried, right? Kind of yelled out. Great job. And thank you for saying that your whole table thought that as well. I appreciate it. Kaden, what did you get?
The younger ones either wanted strawberries.
So what did they do? So they threw away their bowls. Okay? This tells me that the stepsisters are what kind of people? Let's come up with a better vocabulary word. Maybe. So if they got their bowls of porridge and berries and they were like, oh my God, thank you so much.
Unthankful.
What's a better word than unthankful? Because I don't even know if that's an actual word. You guys want to play a little game?
Yes, that word.
Echo. Is unthankful a word?
Yes, unfaithful is a word in the dictionary.
Not feeling or showing pleasure, relief, or gratitude. Good job. 2 claps for nice. Nice. So you can write unthankful too. What about Cinderella? Did anybody find anything that tells us about Cinderella? Angel?
She had red blotches.
Okay. But what did red blotches tell us about her character? What did she say about her red blotches that tell us about her character? Nyla?
She's allergic to them.
That's a physical reaction, not who she is as a person. What kind of let us know who she is as a person?
She's allergic
She is allergic.
to berries. To strawberries.
Now my blotches had blotches.
Oh,
Do you think that her blotches actually had blotches grow on top of them?
The straw. It's a speech.
What? It is a figure of speech. Good job. That non-literal language. But what is my blotches have blotches? Do you think that like she had a blotch and then another blotch like grew on top of it?
No.
She's being a little bit what? I think she's pretty serious about it. She's not being sarcastic. She's being a little...
Yes, that word. Dramatic.
What? Okay. 2 for 2. She's being a little dramatic, right? And then I had to watch everything all over again. All of it, right? This is going to be the hardest day of my life. Is she a little dramatic?
Yes.
Yes. Do you think that plays into the story
Yes.
and her point of view about everything?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you liked the reading lesson.
Go Market!